colleague walked out before Mr. Strzok could give his answers. I hate no one. I do not hate the administration, the president, my colleagues. In fact, I love this nation. I honor this nation. And so I believe it is important that we stand on the force of truth in the Constitution. In the oversight of these two committees, it is unfortunate that none of these committees, judiciary oversight, have decided to pursue more precious or more important issues than asking about Hillary Clinton's emails, which have been well documented, that there was no criminal impact, and in essence, she was vindicated by the Inspector General's report and other reports. Unfortunately, this has become a fishing expedition. What we have not done is investigated the children being stolen away from their families, nor have we looked at our president meeting with Mr. Putin, getting his annual performance review while offending our NATO allies. Foreign policy scholars are aghast that this president, one who famously refused to read his briefing materials, will be meeting with Mr. Putin. In addition, we're wasting time doing the Clinton investigation rather than investigating the role that Russia played in the 2016 elections. Unanimous and unassailable assessment of the intelligence community is that the Russians helped Trump over Hillary and intended to harm her. In the judgment of the Republican-controlled Senate Intelligence Committee, they agreed with that assessment. Unfortunately, the President and House Republicans do not agree. The leader of Russia is known to sanction murder of dissidents, jail journalists, and this is the President who is described as easy to meet with. Neither the Judiciary Committee or the Oversight Committee has investigated the President's indicating that he can pardon himself. So here we are, Mr. Strzok, to ask you questions. I saw you in the closed session. I think you're a credible witness, and I believe you love America. My questions only require yes or no. Did anything you did or say in 2016 change the fact that Trump campaign associate Carter Page was under counterintelligence surveillance going back to 2013? Anything that you did, yes or no, sir?
No.
Did anything you did or say in 2016 change the fact that in March 2016, the president met with George Papadopoulos, who would later plead guilty for lying to the FBI?
No.
Did anything you did or say in 2016 change the fact that Donald Trump Jr. met with agents of the Russian government in Trump Tower in 2016?
No.
Did anything you did or say in 2016 change the fact that the president asked Russians to hack into Hillary Clinton's emails?
No.
Did anything you did or say in 2016 change the fact that Paul Manafort, who has pleaded guilty, in fact, that in July 2016, that Paul Manafort changed the GOP party platform at the 2016 GOP convention in order to benefit Russia, or change the platform?
Ma'am, without saying whether or not that's accurate, no.
Did anything you did or say in 2016 change the fact that in May 2016, George Papadopoulos was drunk in a London bar bragging about how Russians had dirt on Hillary Clinton?
Again, ma'am, without confirming whether or not that's accurate, no.
Did anything you do or say in 2016 change the fact that when Donald Trump was presented with dirt on Hillary Clinton, he responded, "I love it"?
Again, ma'am, only commenting on public accounts of that, no.
Did anything in the IG report change the fact that Donald Trump Jr. was communicating with WikiLeaks' Julian Assange about the timing of releasing emails designed to harm Hillary Clinton? Anything you do?
Anything I did, no.
You're well aware that Mr. Flynn has pleaded guilty, is that not correct?
That's correct.
You're well aware that he was a national security advisor for the President of the United States?
That's correct.
Well, in his offense statement that we have right here, Mr. Flynn indicated that his statements, false statements and omissions, caused impeding the Russian investigation. But more importantly, I believe it's important to take note of the fact that he provided information to the Russian ambassador that said, here, calm down. Don't bother to get upset about sanctions. And according to a whistleblower, he said the sanctions would be, quote, ripped up to allow money to start flowing to one of Flynn's business projects. You had no interference with that, did you not?
I did not.
And you had no involvement, if you will. During your June 2018 interview, I noticed some concern in your voice when recalling the 2016 campaign season, specifically October 2016, and specifically as it relates to the state of Trump-Russia investigation. Why were you so concerned about what was happening at that time?
I'm sorry, ma'am, would you rephrase that question?
During your June 2018 interview, I noticed some concern in your voice when recalling the 2016 campaign season, specifically October 2016, and specifically as it relates to the state of the Trump-Russia investigation. Why were you so concerned about what was happening at that time?
I think trying to keep this at a level, not talking about open investigations.
Only your...
Yes, ma'am. So the predicating information, the information we had, which was alleging a Russian offer of assistance to a member of the Trump campaign, was of extraordinary significance. It was credible. It was from an extraordinarily sensitive and credible source. And as we looked at what that represented, the key time was obviously coming into the election. And so for us, there was absolutely a need to, one, this was a serious allegation, two, of extraordinary gravity, and three, given the fact that the election was upon us and that if, in fact, then candidate Trump were elected, that whether he or certainly more likely or possibly members of his campaign were actively working with the Russians, we needed to get to the bottom of that. It could be that none of them were. It could be that some, or it could be a far worse scale, but the urgency for us to understand what was going on in advance of the election and certainly in advance of any inauguration, I can't overstate the importance of that.
I thank you, Mr. Chairman. May I put into the record, I ask unanimous consent to put into the record articles, including the one by Chris Eliza, no evidence struck bias the investigation in any meaningful way.
Without objection.
I thank you, and the patriotism of this witness and all of us should indicate that certainly Russian...
The time of the gentleman has expired.
I yield back. Thank you.
The gentleman just answered